The water wet technique thingy. That's what we're doing. Another month already? Julying. Don't worry, I'll be here all video. So I guess we'll do another bullet journal theme. If you're new, hi. I've been doing these once a month. They're basically just me narrating a stream of consciousness while past me does a bullet journal theme. I don't really know what we're gonna talk about before we begin, but stick around if you're into mystery. I'm really selling this video. So before I start a new month, I kind of like to wrap up the previous month because I'm the type of person that has to consciously recognize progress or I forget it exists. Last month we did a peacock theme. June was busy as hell. Every weekly spread was just like a mass of to-do lists. I was pretty much good about my daily habits except for 2 weekends where we went out of town and I got completely thrown, and then at the end of the month I just always like forget to record them. Oops. I hit most of my monthly goals this month, which honestly rarely happens, so I'm pretty happy about that. Even my fitness goal of losing half an inch around my waist, I actually lost a whole inch, probably because I was on top of my daily habits and cut down on alcohol consumption. Imagine that. Anyway, I like to print out pictures of my favorite moments of the month because I'm a sentimental ass bitch. I did record this part after I did this month's theme, so please excuse the continuity. Most notably, in June, we got to see both mine and Steve's families, which was really cool, and I launched my jewelry line! Yes! Finally! Kittens and coffee! It's been about 9 months in the making, and it was just so incredibly satisfying to finally release it to the world. So congrats to anyone who got something. Thank you for the support. I'm so happy at the response. There's still a few items left. The ring is sold out, but the items that are left are extremely limited. So if you did want to get one, I'm not going to pressure you, but like get one now if you want one. On to this month's theme though. So July is a purple month for me, which represents transformation in the numerology world. Ooh, sounds cool. I hope I transform into something dope. Like imagine you're a caterpillar and then all your friends become butterflies, but like you end up a moth. Ugh. Like no hate to moths, just like, I don't know, I like color, and I actually really hate fluorescent lighting, so that sounds awful. I digress. I've been on a watercolor kick lately, so the past couple bullet journal themes, so I had the idea this month to do a mermaid theme. I thought that would like go well with purple. I don't know, are mermaids purple? In my head, it decided that they were. I've never painted a mermaid before, but I had kind of a rough vision of what I wanted to do. So first, I just did a pen test to get a color palette going. Wow, I'm sounding like a real ass artist now. I'm not, so don't get your expectations up, but that sounded pretty legit. Then I did a rough pencil sketch because basically, I wanted the tail on this right side, and then on the other side, just like a little bit of her face peeking out with lots of hair flowing. I just pictured like lots of hair. Just like, you know, that sounds fun to watercolor. And underwater hair is so like flowy and pretty. I mean, in theory. Actually, my underwater hair is a mess, but I'm not a mermaid, so they're built for this shit. Don't at me. Also, I wanted to experiment with the wet technique this time. I don't know what the technical term is called, but you know where you put water down first and then add the color so it like bleeds and then blends all pretty. Listen, I didn't go to art school. I just like to paint sometimes. The water wet technique thingy. That's what we're doing. Get with it. During this part, I played around with different variations of like purple, blue, indigo, green. It's really cathartic just moving color around in water. I actually find a lot of joy from it, and also from like not really knowing exactly what's gonna happen. Ooh, actually, cool segue, because we're getting deep now. It's really fitting that this month is a transformation month because so many things are up in the air right now, and I genuinely don't know exactly what's gonna happen, just like this watercolor. But I'm not scared about it because, just like this watercolor technique, not knowing is kind of the beauty of it. And I've learned from being in this situation many times before that when you panic, everything can get really murky. But if you just kind of go with the flow and adjust as you go, usually the colors come together quite beautifully, actually. More beautiful than anything maybe that you ever could have planned. So I've been a student of trusting the process, which has not been the most natural concept for me as someone who desires some level of certainty. But in a creative field, needing certainty and control can almost work against you, I've found. And we actually just did a whole shit they don't tell you episode about this and like the neuroscience behind creativity. It was super fascinating to learn about. I didn't make it up. I like stumbled across a video of a neuroscientist talking about creativity, which I didn't even know was something you could study. But after hearing him break it down, it also makes so much sense from what I've experienced personally. Back to this picture though, this part with the scale, I added way too much pigment at first. This was not the look I was going for. I figured it out by the third row of scales, but to make the most of that really colorful first layer that we did, you just need really light layers of color here. So super diluted variations of purple, blue, indigo, and green, like very light layers so you can see the underneath layer. And I really hated the way the first 2 rows looked, but there are no mistakes in art, and I think by the end it worked out, so stay tuned. Every part of these monthly watercolor paintings has been experimental for me, some better than others. No one bring up the bubble theme, please. Thank you. So after adding more depth with the tail fins, I decided to go back and add some more pigment on just the side of some of the scales, and I really like that effect. It kind of like gave a more three-dimensional look to it, even though I wasn't aiming for like 3D, just want a little bit of depth, right? I also added some more pigment to her hair. I really wanted her hair to be like more flowy, but that's okay. It ended up like this. I decided to play around with splattering color too, which was super fun. I mean, pretty not fun to clean up on my desk, but it was super fun to do on the paper, so stop focusing on the other stuff. And then I also was splattering white gouache, white gouache. I think that's how you say it. Also adding, I also tried that thing where you add salt, but it didn't really do anything. Maybe the water was too dry, I don't know. I tried wetting it, but it still didn't do very much. You'll see. Anyway, so yeah, transition, things being up in the air. Big mood right now. One of the podcasts that I work on is in a transition period, and we've been through a lot of transitions in the short 2 years that we've been a podcast. I don't know why, like something about that particular podcast, there's a lot of like changes all the time. Shit They Don't Tell You has stayed pretty much the same. I mean, we've changed the set a few times, but like, you know, pretty much the same. Same people working on it and everything. But yeah, like with Big Mood, we've had 2 cast members leave to go do other things, which is, you know, people move on with life and stuff, and that's cool. But yeah, and then, but each time like someone left, like we had to make adjustments. And then now we're moving the set to my house and we're switching production crews, which was kind of sudden. But yeah, TBD, follow along the vlogs. We're also experimenting, spoilers, with a few rotating hosts, like of people that we've had as guests on the show that we like really gelled with as a group. So that'll be fun. And then JK News, the other show that me and Steve work on, well, I mean, I haven't worked on it since January, but Steve works on it regularly. They're kind of thinking of moving to Vegas, so that's happening. And then I launched the jewelry line, which I already mentioned, and there's just a lot of cool things in the works there. So yeah, like a lot of moving parts right now, but all good and interesting things. My natural instinct is to be scared of change, but change has always kept things interesting, you know? As long as I have stability in some important areas of my life, like relationship, home, health, family, I think I'm okay with big changes happening in other areas, just to like, I don't know, see what happens. Like my curiosity kind of wins. I really like how the splatter turned out, and I'm a fan of the tail, but I would do her face and hair differently if I did this again. Still don't hate it. I was gonna add some bubbles here, but well, I'm still traumatized by the May theme, so let's move on. On the following pages, I do the same thing every time, just with the corresponding color of the month. Monthly goals for 4 different categories, and a habit tracker of things that I really want my attention to go towards this month. I've explained this before, but the goal of the habit tracker is not to have the entire thing filled in. I know this like stresses people out. It stressed me out the first time I considered trying it, but it really is just to literally track the habits that you end up doing, to like see where your attention went the most, or at least for me, like to see where my attention went the most, and then like where I need to make some adjustments. Sometimes the adjustment is stepping up a habit that I neglected because I really do want to prioritize it more, and then sometimes the adjustment is realizing I don't really like that habit in my life. Like maybe it stressed me out more than it helped. No pressure to have it all filled in, just like be an observer of your habits. That's been the most stress-free approach for me for habit trackers. Then I did the monthly spread, which I made a lot of mistakes on, but whatever. No one sees this journal but me, well, and you now. But I can't stress enough how to like not try and make this perfect. It should be just a really efficient way Your journal should just be an efficient way to organize your schedule or like a relaxing creative activity for you. But once you start judging yourself on it, I swear it will become a source of stress for you and you'll never use it, and that's sad. So don't do that to yourself. I didn't end up doing a weekly spread here because I'm still on the week in the previous month's spread because this month started in the middle of the week, which I hate, but whatever, July. But it looks exactly the same every time, just different colors. See, I like routine and structure, but then some creativity and change within that structure too to keep it interesting, like life. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. And thank you to Patreon for letting me do videos like this. Hope you liked it. See you next time. Did this feel short?